have to shift gears a little bit. It's not about pure gaming, it's about play. And hopefully it's going to be interesting enough. The app industry in the kids genre is currently focusing more on learning apps. Like everywhere they're trying to put this word learning. There's math, there's English, there's grammar. But I found out that through my research that play is what is actually learning, and that's what I'm going to be talking about here. And a little bit about myself. I'm a product designer, and my title keeps changing based on the projects I'm working on. I'm sometimes called a play designer, sometimes an experience designer, sometimes a web designer, sometimes just a production designer. So it keeps shifting. Currently, I'm working as a play designer. And that's my partner, Pratik. He is a software developer. And together, we have this studio in New Delhi called Vazo. And we work on exciting ideas, and we hope to, and with those, we want to bring some impact in this world. I wish the slides were up because there's something I wanted to show in the beginning. Let's just move on. So just to start from the start of how I got in the kids space, it's, well, there was last year a friend of ours came to our studio and he was working on a writing app for children. He at that time was also writing a book. So he felt it was such an interesting thing to write, and kids should be probably writing more, and that's going to help them in the future. Because writing is not a skill everyone seems to like or have, and he felt if kids started early, it's going to be great. So he wanted me to look at it and give me feedback on whether it's going to make it. And it was basically, it was an app where kids could write stories and publish their storybooks and read stories from all around the world and share it and be proud of the work they have done, like be it whatever story.
Yeah.
Okay, thankfully the presentation's up. Okay, let's just move to where we are. So it was basically an app like this. So it was about you write your story, you tell your story, you share your story, and read the story. What do you guys think? Do you think this app will make it? Would it be a successful app? Raise your hand if you feel it's going to be successful. Something that will work. No? No, you don't think it's going to work? Let's see. So, well, as a product designer, I usually don't start with, like, when I think of a concept, I don't think of it. And by the way, there was no interface over here. I deliberately removed the interface because I just wanted people to understand the pure idea. Because a lot of times, kids' apps are attractive just because they have these fun characters and colors. But once you remove them, that's when you see the pure concept. I know it's like great and it's very important for kids to have like something that is attractive. But when I first look at a product, I remove the interface out of it. And if it works without it, I feel it's going to work with it. So let me move back here. So how am I going to change the slide?
Yeah.
So it's not working anymore. So for an app to be successful, what does it really mean for an app to be successful? It has to make money, but it also has like, I think there's just two mics here. And also, it should be liked by the people who are using it, the users. So let's look at first about what it takes for an app to be successful, like how would it make money? In-app purchases in the kids space is usually not an option since it collects data and it's frowned upon by parents. It's like not considered safe for the kids. In-app advertisements also not usually an option, which is usually one of the ways to earn money when you are launching a free-to-play game. So what we are left with is just like paying up front and paying a premium for the game you have made, which like you just have to rely on downloads for that. But what does it really make? What does it really make an app successful? Like, does it?
Sorry guys.
Sorry, the slides are not moving.
Yeah, just a second.
There are technical problems here. So usually these are the monetization options you have when you're like working in the kids app space. But like, how can you tell if an app will work or if it won't work just by looking at the concept and just by knowing these things? You always have to start with like understanding and building empathy for the user. So we started to do some design research to try to find out what works in this kids space. We were so new to it. So we found out parents download the app because they are the owners of the app, the device they are using. And kids actually have to use these, the ones the parents download for them. And we also learned that 85% of the apps that parents download are not used by kids more than once. So why is this happening? That's because parents are always looking for benefits. They just feel, so my neighbor is getting this math app for the kids, so maybe my kid should also be using this math app. I think they should start learning coding early because that's what I read about in the papers these days. Coding is a new skill. I should be teaching them grammar. But kids are always just looking for fun. They get to play these apps in their playtime. Why would they want to have schoolwork? Why would they want to do schoolwork when they're playing in their playtime? So this is just like some of the apps the parents like and some of the apps that kids actually play. The ones they really like are mostly the muffin apps, a lot of muffin apps, a lot of decorating apps, a lot of painting apps, some monster apps, those kind of apps. So this was our insight from the first initial interviews we sent out, that for an app to be actually successful, the parents need to like the app, but the kid needs to love the app. It's just combining these two, the parents and the kids, and together, if it's together, only then the app would be something that should be successful. And we had no idea. Do you want to be? Yeah. And we had no idea who kids are, because we are adults and we no longer know how to be kids and how do we put ourselves in the shoes of kids. What are their needs? What are their wants? What are the emotional needs they have? So to build this empathy, we tried to understand their day-to-day routines, tried to shadow them in their playrooms. We did one-on-one Skype sessions. We did one-on-one interviews. We also invited these kids to play in our studio and made prototypes that they could play with. And during this, some of the things that caught us was like kids telling us. So there was this one time I was at somebody's house, and their child, I was trying to understand what they do in the evening when they come back from school, and they told me they used to go for piano lessons and now they've started tennis. And I'm like, why? Why did you leave piano? And he was like, the plain simple answer was, it was boring. And I was like, why was it boring? And they were like, earlier they used to teach me songs, and now they're teaching me what these chords mean, what this, like they were just teaching them music theory, and then that's what got them disinterested. There was this another time I was interviewing the parent, the mom, and these two little kids, and they seemed to be hooked on their phone as soon as I entered, and I was like, wow, this is a great place, I would be getting great insights. And then I asked the mom, what is the kind of games they like to play? And the mom is like, being like a typical mom, always trying to sound politically correct. She's like, you know, they love this math app. And I was like, wow, okay. And then I asked the kids, what do you like about it? And they're like, you know, when we solve 4 questions, we get this new asset in a game, and then we play the game, and then we solve 4 more questions. And I was like, wow, now I see why they like this app. So we learned that fun is the key to engagement, and kids don't do anything that is boring. If something's boring, they would not do it. Kids love to play, and kids are messy. They can play with the most banal things. They can play with a Tupperware, thinking that's it's their car, and any surface becomes their highway. They just have fun with anything and everything. So play is a very important part of their lives. And it's only during playtime they do what they want to do. You know, when I first tried to learn about the kids' daily routine, it's their mom who wakes them up at 7, because mom thinks 7 is the time for them to wake up. Their mom tells them, brush your teeth, and that's when they brush their teeth. Their mom chooses what they should be eating. Their mom chooses what activities they should be going for in the evening, what's the time they should be sleeping. So it's always adults taking decisions for them. But it's during playtime, they are the ones who are taking decisions and synthesizing all the information that is around them. They're like these little scientists trying to make sense of this world. And you know, it's that time when they decide to do what they want to do, magic really happens. It's like them imagining things. It's them imitating the parents, the teachers, and that's when they make sense of the world. That's what's play. It's like when they are doing what they are doing, and that's when they learn, because they choose what they want to do. They understand what their likes are. And this one time I was playing with these 2 little kids. So this is right here. It's when the mom was there. I went on a play date with these 2 girls, and they were painting that day. And these girls, they're painting here. Oh. This was supposed to be a video, which... It should play? No. Okay. Maybe they have an older software. Yeah. Sorry, this was supposed to be a video of them, of the mom telling them to paint in between the lines. And these kids are painting in between the lines, and then the mom goes up and they're playing with me. Yeah, I think you can tell from the picture they're painting together very meticulously in between the lines. And then when the moms left, and I was like, you know what, you can do anything you want to do. You don't have to paint between the lines. So the older one comes to me and asks me, can I paint on my hands? And the little one, obviously imitating the sister, she's like, I want to paint on my hands too. And you know, they start painting on their hands. And then this was a very fun video of them painting here. So in that, what they are doing is they were stamping. And then the little girl threw water on that, and they're stamping and jumping on it. And then all of a sudden they started to laugh so much. And then that previous day, their uncle had come from London. He was talking about the Queen's Palace. And they were like, oh, we are going to be giving this painting to the Queen. And you know, I would be wearing this and going to present the painting. And it got so fun and so messy. We ended up them fully covered with paint, me fully covered with paint, and having so much fun. And then later they are running around in the house, showing off their creation, which was like jumble of colors and everything. But my point here was like it was such a beautiful experience for me to have. It was like they were discovering things. It was when the play was self-directed and the mom was not telling them what to do. They were exploring. They were mixing colors, learning. When they mix green with red, it's brown, and that's something they learned. And they had their own self-expression. I don't know why we always keep talking about thinking outside the box, but the mom was telling them to just paint inside the lines. I don't know that's where they lose their self-expression, imagination. And then you saw the London story when they're talking about, this, I would present it to the Queen. They started to tell stories. That's when they were telling stories because this was interesting for them. This was them directing the play. And then when both of them wanted to paint their hands, this little girl, both of them wanted pink. And then the older one's like, okay, we have little pink. So first I'll use a little bit, then you use a little bit. So they were learning social skills, negotiation, and problem solving. Like they are painting together and, if we have less paint, let's share this little paint. And then, okay, if the paint is less, maybe you can take my favorite color, green. And they're negotiating. So I just feel play has so much power. They're building empathy towards each other. They're telling stories. So we learned that play in itself is a learning tool. Why do we just why is the app store just full of learning apps? Yes, it would get you the first download. But would it be sustainable if kids don't like to play those games? Would the parent come back to you and search for that developer and look for your other games? Maybe not. So what is play? So play is when it's not adult directed. Play has no rules, no wrong answers, no right way. It's without restraint and is meant to be freeing. And what is it that is always been? What do we play with? It's toys. They have no rules. A car doesn't come with a rule. It has no wrong answer, no right answer. Every sofa in your house becomes a highway. And you tell stories through the dolls. And what if these toys go digital? There's so much happening in the digital space. There's the iPad, which you can take anywhere. So maybe if toys were digital, kids can take them anywhere, the iPad. If the toys were digital, kids could just be in previously unimaginable experiences. They could be in SpongeBob's room and playing with SpongeBob. They could be in Harry Potter world and experiencing the classes or having Hermione as a friend. And they're empowered to take risks. With just one swipe, you can undo things, you can redo things. It has a lot of power as a creative tool. So what are digital toys? They are open-ended. They're meant for such freeing experiences. They simulate a physical toy in the sense that there are no wrong answers, no right answers. They're interactive. And they encourage risk-taking, which is definitely like, how when we are in school, we always had to be in exams and there was only one right answer. But that just tells you to be not creative. That tells you stop using your thinking. Think this way because that's the right answer. And this is what we want to inculcate in kids. We want them to be more creative, more free with their thoughts. And I feel technology has a great power to do that. So digital toys are awesome because, when you're in a coding app, you can probably learn that in school. When you're doing math, you can probably learn that in school. But a skill like this, which taps to the emotions of kids, which taps to making them more creative, understanding themselves, thinking, like looking at what they like, what they don't like. I feel we should be making such experiences which are open-ended and freeing. So, you want to take over, please? Okay. So success, we feel, would be where kids find the joy of playing and the parents are convinced that play isn't all games and fun. It's a genius teaching tool. And we need to be designing not for kids, but with kids. Because a lot of times when we think of apps, we are like, the app store looks like a miniature version of the adult app store. Like the kids app store looks like the miniature version of an adult's app store. Because it's like, there are apps on reading, there are apps on, say, math, learning, all this. But what is it? You really have to think, you have to step back and think, what would a kid like? So I feel we should be designing these apps with kids instead of for kids. Okay, and that's what we have. Okay, thank you guys. And you can ask us anything now. Yeah. Well, as I said, well, sure.
Okay. I knew this question was coming because that's something that even my parents ask, like, we want you to use, like, I'm a software developer, so I spend about 12 hours a day in front of a screen, and then after that I'm on my phone, and so my mom still tells me, you're going to ruin your eyes. The thing is that the entire world is moving in a direction where that is just the reality. And I think what is happening is that by just holding on to a lot of old school thinking, we are kind of handicapping our kids to be not ready for the future. For example, schools still have cursive writing courses, but there are no typing courses. Whereas, let's be real, 90% of the kids, when they grow up, they're going to be typing instead of writing. And so that's about whether adopting digital early is a good idea or not. I feel it is, because that's where the world is going. As far as why digital toys over a tangible toy, there are advantages and disadvantages of a digital toy. We did focus on the advantages here, which is that digital offers portability. You can take them anywhere, whereas you're not going to carry your entire playroom with you. You can have previously unimaginable experiences. So with tangible toys, maybe you can create a playroom. You can create a dollhouse. You can probably simulate a lot of things. But with digital, and you add on to that augmented reality, virtual reality, you can give experiences to kids that are just not possible with tangible toys. For example, you can make them experience what it would be like if they lived underwater. Or you can make them experience zero gravity. Or you can make them experience, as she mentioned earlier, what it would be like if you went to school at Hogwarts. And this, I think, is a big thing. I used to collect miniature cars when I was young. It used to be my favorite toy to play with. But there was always this fear, because my mom would say, if you break it, I'm not going to buy you another one. That's not something that happens when I break something in an app. Also, if I'm doing art and I make a mistake, I can just press the undo button and I can redo it. What does that do? That allows the kid to take risks. That opens up their creativity, because they can try 10 different things before settling on one, as opposed to running out of paint or breaking your toy. So, and then there are a lot of other things. that digital offers. I think you do lose something. I feel with physical toys, and I'm all for physical toys as well, because with digital we have still not been able to capture all 5 senses. We still can't capture touch completely. You can't capture texture. You can't fully capture smell and taste yet. And so I think that is something that physical toys still have, but I think digital will eventually get there as we get better.
Yeah. Okay, so you talked about that undo button. Okay.
Yeah.
Does undo button, okay. You talked about undo button. So does undo button restricts creativity or it improves creativity?
That's very subjective.
Depends who's directing. If the parent is telling तुमने ये गलत कर दिया, ठीक कर दो, then it's restricting.
Okay.
But if
that
you
answer is also very subjective.
Well,
okay,
yeah.
So it's my personal thing that I think if you are taking it to digital thing, there are limitations. Like she gave an example of that painting, kids were painting and they were creating the story on their own, on the go, with incorporating their past experiences or the stories. When you create an environment, you put a toy in there and you ask the kid to play in that environment, then of course there's going to be limitations. You cannot say it's unlimited. So you have to, I think... Okay, sure.
Yes, that's a great question. So actually this question, another related question that someone asked me earlier was why learning toys and not learning games, and what is the difference? So I'm gonna try to answer both those questions. So games have a target, a goal, and it has rules, and it has a winning and a losing. So there's competition. What our research showed was that in the age group of 0 to 3, they are not even ready with, all their senses are not equally active right now. And 7 onwards, they start understanding the concepts of competition, and they start understanding the concepts of winning and losing. So it's in that age group of 3 to 7 where they don't even understand the concept of winning. And so when you give, like for example, I have a niece who's 4 years old, and her mom taught her how to play Uno. She hates playing it with me because I don't always let her win. And she doesn't understand the concept of, I have to work, I have to compete, I have to get better, and I have to come up with strategies on trying to win this. She's just not ready for that. And what toys do is, toys allow them to first gain those experiences. And so that's why age group of 3 to 7 is, I would say, the correct age for focusing on learning with play. And then 7 onwards, you can start having learning games, which would work equally better.
So, do you have any examples that you like, either in Indian App Store or outside of India, where there are these digital toys?
I believe there's a Swedish publisher called Toka Boka, which exclusively works on things that we call digital toys.
So what are some examples of that? Like, what are they?
I'm sure you've seen hair salon apps.
Not really.
No. So there are these. So Toka Boka was one of the first apps that came out with this. It's called Toka Hair Salon. Essentially, it's you get to choose 3 or 4 characters in the beginning, and you have, basically it's a barbershop, and you can grow hair, and you can use different tools to cut their hair. So you can use scissors, you can use razors, you can even put on soap and shower the clients at the hair salon. And there are no levels, there is no winning and losing. It's just open-ended. You have these 10 tools that you can play with, and you can do things. And you can, of course, take pictures of what you've created. So you can show off your creation.
You're always proud
Right.
of whatever you create.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess essentially.
It's so engaging
I guess essentially the digital part is adding power to their toys, right? Like they're trying to do these things in real life already.
Correct,
with their
correct,
dolls,
correct.
but because it's digital, it's more
Yeah.
powerful.
With the doll, once you cut the hair, it can't come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
that's true.
so I guess would you categorize this game, The Sims, to be a toy then?
Yes, it would be a digital toy. Yes, Sim theme park, Sim City, all of these would fall into.
You sometimes just seem to have a narrative to them.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's true. That they do have. They still have gaming elements. It's not completely only play. It's I think. Yeah, but you know, play doesn't always appeal to adults, because adults at the end of the day ask the question, "ये मैं क्यों कर रहा हूँ? Why am I doing this?" You know, so that's why they need a purpose sometimes. But especially in the age group of 3 to 7, this is what they like. I can leave my niece with Toka hair salon all day and she'll play it. I think play is a great way to learn. So I'm not going to get into school topics that are better through playful learning. I would focus on the things that matter much more in the world, especially social skills. All the social skills that you have today were not gained in school. They were gained in the playground with other kids. Whether it's things like you have to share things with others, whether it's things like standing up for what you think is right, whether it's negotiation. So we've all done, there's one swing, there are two people. Okay, you play for 5 minutes, then I'll play for 5 minutes. You be on the swing for 5 minutes, that's the first time you negotiate. And most people don't recognize this, but that is where you learn those skills. Whether it's communication skills, whether it's social skills like empathy, like problem solving, like problem recognition. Imagine you are with a child. Imagine there's an adult kid and a little kid, and the adult kid is carrying all the toys of the little kid from one place to the other. And one of the things drops, and the little kid starts crying. So that adult kid immediately recognizes, his favorite toy has fallen, that's why he's crying. That is problem recognition. That is the first time growing up you start recognizing, this is the reason this is happening. So that is where you're building logical relationships. When you say common sense, when you say logic, when are you learning it? You're not learning it sitting alone. You have to interact, and play is the way kids interact with the world. And so coming back to social skills like empathy, like risk taking, like sharing, like negotiation, that's all that you learn through play. I think one of the things that is a challenge is making parents recognize this, making parents recognize how this helps the kid. And I think that is one of the biggest challenges. But I think it's starting to happen.